Today is about business, and we had one of our VIPs, Syra, yesterday asking and saying she's just started a new business in Karachi, actually, and this whole technical stuff really confuses her, which is, I assure you, you are not alone. The technical side of things tends to confound most people, and we're going to approach this from several angles today. What we're going to do, we're going to talk about strategy, right? We're going to get our strategy right, and then we're going to talk about technical. And literally, I want to make sure at the end of this, you have literally a blueprint that you can take away and launch a web page that will get you live, that will get you online, that you can start taking inquiries from, that will actually start generating business. Okay, so that's my commitment. At the end of this session, I will get you to the point where you can launch an online business. Okay, 45 minutes. All right. So the first thing is strategy. That's what I just said. And I am going to do a bit of whiteboard work, and I'm going to try and draw it as big as possible. Okay. And I'm going to talk about the 3 phases that you go through whenever you're gaining a new skill. And to make it slightly more interesting, I'm going to talk about it in the context of trying to date a girl. Okay, so this is our teenage years over here. So as a teenager, can you see that, or do I need to write in black?
Black would be easier, yeah. It's
black would be easier. Let's do that then. How about that?
Perfect.
Okay, teenager. What we do as a teenager is we do games, and we do chat up lines, and we spend our time talking to our male friends, and I think this might apply to women as well, about lines we can say and how we're going to do our hair and how we're going to stand on the bar and hey, how you doing? And we get all super cool in the pursuit of trapping this goddess on the other side of the bar. And I would like to guess that it has about a 1% success rate, if that. Because it's so inauthentic, right? And I want that to land with people. It's inauthentic. But it's all you know how to do. So that's what you do. And that's the game everybody's playing. So if you're 15, it's totally okay. Because quite honestly, that goddess at the end of the bar, she's as uneducated and sophisticated in the whole damn thing as you are as a guy as well. So we're all playing a fuddle game. That's what, and I hate to say it because I like them as a company, I like their ethos. That's what ClickFunnels is. That's what funnels is. It's a hack. And not a good one. I should be careful with that language. It's not a good thing to do, because what you're doing is you're pushing everyone through what's referred to as a funnel. Now, this is a funnel. So this is our funnel here. Okay, and what we're trying to do is drive people through this funnel. And what we talk about funnels is engagement, following, and we spoke about this a bit last week, of taking people and moving them along a journey, right? Dum, 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 dum. On a macro basis, that works. But on a micro basis, it doesn't work. Because what you're talking about doing is manipulating somebody and manipulating the way that they're going to think, the way they're going to feel, and trying to anticipate that and move them along. So, if you want to succeed online, especially in this decade that we're in now, we go back to what we spoke about last week, which was authenticity, integrity, simplicity, and added value. Can I make that into a more interesting acronym? I will try and make that into a more interesting acronym, because AISV doesn't really mean anything, right? And I'll give you an example. I was speaking to somebody recently that was a past life regression hypnotherapist. And I went on her website because it wasn't working, and it was a beautifully designed funnel, but it missed so much that it had absolutely no impact whatsoever. And we ripped it all down and replaced it with a video and 2 paragraphs of text, and she's busier than she could ever dream to be. She has more work than she can handle. Because what she'd done in her first version is she'd done what she was told to do. So she had the graphic up here. She used Z indexing to make sure eye tracking was correct. She did all these tips and tricks. But what she didn't do was express who she really was. She didn't express why she wanted to do it. She didn't express why she believed in it. And you need to remember, anybody that's watching this needs to remember that for every single person that's offering your service, there are 36 minimum other people that are offering your service. Right? So ask yourself who you deal with. So I'll give you the example. The first example read roughly like this. Past life regression hypnotherapy can help you with A, B, C, D, E. It was found in da-da-da-da-da and has been proved to work in the following environments under scientific conditions in X, Y, Z, A. Book your free consultation here. Now, I don't know about you, but I am not engaged. I'm like, okay, whatever. I've read this 100 times in 100 different ways. And for the record, it really doesn't matter if what you're interested in is past life regression hypnotherapy, car hire, packaging, relationship coaching, B2B photocopier sales. It really doesn't matter what the subject is. So don't get hung up if you don't believe in past life regression hypnotherapy, because that's not what we're talking about. What we changed it to was a video of her in a very similar situation as this. I think we had nature. We had a little bit of woods in the background, where she stood and said, "Hi, my name is." And I'll tell you her story, and you tell me which one you want to engage in. If there's a chat around there, Jess, let's put it in the chat. So the first version, clinical past life regression, these are the 3 benefits. This is the scientific evidence. Click here for free consultation. The second version read something more like this. I need to get into her energy to do this. Read more like, "Hi, my name is Jane, and several years ago, I lost my mum in a road traffic accident. I was distraught because I was on the phone to her when the accident occurred, and I blamed myself. I felt that I was the cause of the accident. I went down clinical therapy routes. I ended up addicted to prescription medication. I went through several versions of rehab, and nothing worked for me until I found past life regression hypnotherapy. And for the first time ever, I was able to have a conversation with my mum. And what she told me was to stop being a stupid bitch and to forgive myself, because it was her choice to be on that road. It was God's choice that that was the time that I should go. And the fact that I was on the phone with you had nothing to do with it." And this is the next bit that kills me in this sentence. She then said, "I don't know if I was speaking to my mum or activating a memory of my mum. But either way, it gave me the ability to move forwards and build my life and reconnect with my children and re-meet my husband again. And the only thing I can now see that I must do with my life is give you the same gift that I was given by my teacher. I would love to meet you. I would love to talk to you, and I'd love to see if I can help. My details are below." Which one do you want to talk to? Jess?
The second one for sure, 100%.
There's no doubt, right?
No doubt.
And everything that I said in the second one, apart from the fact it's me saying it, not her, is 100% authentic. And it's that brings you in. It's the vulnerability, it's the authenticity, it's the emotional connection. Now, all we did was literally put a video at the top and 2 lines of text. That's all we did. 2 paragraphs of text. with an inquiry form. That was literally all we did. And it just went off the charts. Because we went from my teenage version to the mature adult version, which is if you want to meet the girl at the end of the bar, you walk up and go, "Hi, my name's Pete. Do you want to have a drink?" But there's no trick, there's no tip, there's no how to manipulate this ridiculous thing about negging a woman to make her more keen and da 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 da. And I'm sure that these tactics can work, but they don't give you longevity, and they don't give you customers that love what you do and love you and want to form a connection with you. I said a few weeks ago, your company is not your baby. You have to be willing to kill it if it's the right time to kill it. And I do 100% stick to that. But whilst you're operating your business, whether it's a new business or a billion-dollar business, you have to be so clear on who you are and why people should connect with you and making an emotional connection. And the bigger you are, the harder it is. And the more B2B you are, the harder it is. This is obviously a harder job for a photocopying sales company than it is a past life regression hypnotherapy company. But you can still talk about we are proud that our customers had 0 days of downtime. We regard it as our obligation to keep you in business. I want to work with that company. I was like, "What do you sell?" "Photocopies." "Great, I'll have a photocopy then." We make emotional attachments. We seek tribes. We seek congruence. And then when people get to, "I need a digital business," they seem to throw all of that out the window and start with a 12-step funnel. Now, everything that ClickFunnels teaches, everything these other systems teach, as I said, are valid. They are true. If you have a green button, not a blue button, you will change your conversion rate of your website. Right? If the image is on the left or the right, you will change your conversion rate. The logo goes on the top left because of something called Z indexing. Your eyes, because in the Western world, it's different in China, Japan, and the Arab world speaking countries, but your eyes read like that. So the important parts of the page, top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right, they are the important parts of the page. You will scan those. If you watch a person's, you can do this in tests to see where their eyes go. Before they read anything on the page, they literally go like that. Do they frame it? Which is why the logo goes at the top left and the contact us, book now, appointment goes at the top right.
On your camera. I just want to get people confused. So
the logo goes at the top left.
Yep.
And the book now, contact us goes to the top right.
Yeah, awesome.
So there are things like that that are absolutely true, but you layer those on top of authenticity and integrity and single-minded purpose and adding value, right? Talk about this first. Authenticity, integrity, single-minded purpose, adding value. If you're not doing those 4 things, no amount of hack, tip, trick, this thing, that thing, this software, that sort, none of it will help you because you're not going to succeed. Because the generation that's now using the internet is incredibly savvy. They can see through crap immediately, like on the spot. And they want to work with people and they want to give their money to people that share their values. You're typing that in for our chat people, are you?
I am. I'm doing that. I'm just typing that in. So if you want to just copy paste and add it to your notes.
Thank you very much. So do you have any questions, Jess?
Not as of now. I mean, I do have, let me see. We did have some questions I tried to answer on Facebook while you were chatting. So we have a few people joining us from all over the world. And so thank you so much. And I love that you're putting on there where you're calling in from, a lot of activity, and even play with the words, Visa, Avis, so that it's easier to remember.
Yeah, there is a word. Thank you. That.
So we have Deanna Joy, who is telling us that. Yeah, Visa,
Deanna,
Avis.
just so you know, Deanna, you've relinquished your copyright over that phrase by giving it to me on this call. Visa. This is your visa to success. I love it.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Thank you. Value add, integrity, single-minded purpose with authenticity.
Ta-da! Thank you so much, Diana. I love the participation on the group. And just as a reminder for those who want to really have exclusive content that we only share with our VIPs, please head on over to www.hackmankind.com, where we have more calls for you, more content that is accessible only to our VIPs. And I don't see why you're not doing it, because our first 1,000 members are for free. So head on over www.hackmankind.com. And as always, any frontline responders, our nurses, doctors, teachers, firefighters, police officers are welcome for life for free at any time. It's our way to say thank you. A little thank you for what you're doing every single day to keep us healthy, keep us safe. Thank you so much. Sorry, I kind of hijacked that little moment.
I'm getting a drink.
Amazing. So this is the first part of any business, really. It doesn't really need to be online marketing, right, Peter?
Yeah, the reason this is more prevalent maybe to online marketing than offline is that online reputation is so important and so transparent. Right? If you screw up in a restaurant in Brooklyn, pre-internet, the people that know about you screwing up is that guy and 5 of his friends, or that girl and 5 of her friends. Now it's everybody that goes on TripAdvisor. So it's 1 billion people, right? And that's the difference. It's not that it didn't matter, it did matter. And not applying that formula has killed companies across the decades. It has literally killed people dead in their tracks for decades. The difference is now it'll kill you in minutes, not in decades. Right? Because it requires 1 bad review on TripAdvisor, or 2 or 3, before you're fighting a different battle. You're not fighting, how do I make more money? How do I expand my business? How do I grow my market? How do I cut down my costs? It's how do I persuade people I'm not crap? Which is a really bad place to start a business from. And you don't want to be persuading people that that you're good at what you're good at. You want that to be a given. Your game has to be persuading them that you're great and excellent and superlative at what you do. Not that you're just okay, because there's the reviews that say you're bad. So yeah, you're absolutely right, Jess. This applies as much to online and offline. Although I would say nowadays, I don't believe there is such a thing as an offline business. I thought that before this new normal, or whatever we want to call it, because I've been in digital for 25 years. So I've spent my entire life helping people predict the future and seeing what the next technology is going to do. And the answer is always the same thing. Whenever a new technology comes about, you have 2 choices. Either embrace it and pivot with it and use it, or wait for it to take you out of business. And that applies, you can be listening to this and say, that's rubbish, that doesn't apply to me. I'm in the insert blank here business. And I can tell you some people I've heard that from. I heard that from the CEO of Blockbuster, who said, don't be silly, that'll never touch us. I heard that from the president of the Recording Industry of America, saying technology will never change our world. We sell records and CDs. I heard that from the boss of HMV that said, what could possibly change in our world? I heard that from Toys R Us, saying, Toys R Us is not a digital business. We are bricks and mortar. Right? It doesn't matter who you are. Technology removes inefficiencies in markets. That's what it does. It makes everything more efficient. For good or bad, that's for us as humans to steer the morality of how we use technology. I would say that we haven't done a very good job of it, to be quite honest, but that's our job. But technology will come and it will remove inefficiencies. So if you have any inefficiency in your business, technology is coming for you. Unless you are perfectly efficient, technology is going to take you, or it's going to propel you. They're your 2 choices. So there is no such thing as a real offline business, but this is certainly more relevant the more online you exist.
I love that. So we have to start with our story, our messaging, and also live in that. So then what's the next step to be successful on an online business?
So yeah, so the first thing, let's just to finish that off, my advice, and I love the fact we got asked a question by Sarah in our angel call, which is just after this. So I do want to literally serve her predominantly. Sarah, thank you very much. And everybody else can then learn from that. So let's talk about Sarah, right? So the first thing that Sarah needs to do is sit down and work out why someone should do business with her. What is that compelling reason that, you know, there's multiple different words for this, your heroic unique identity, your backstory, there's dozens of different words for it. But why should someone do business with you? Right? And that can be a very frustrating process if you haven't gone through it before, right? I find it quite simple to do it for other people because I've done it so many times. You can pick out the story, you can pick out the details, you can find the things. And I absolutely guarantee everybody listening to this, you do have a heroic, unique identity. I promise you. Wherever, if you say, oh, but I've never run a business in my life. I've been a housewife, which by the way is the highest calling. You know, as a hat tip to my wife that's currently trying to wrangle 2 children, a dog and everything else. Like, this is easy. That would be where I'd start. I would start with the story of that. I would start with the fact that I gave up my career to raise my children, right? That's heroic. That's something that people respect. So you want to lean into that and don't worry about the people that are turned off by it. I think we spoke about this last week. Marketing is both push and pull simultaneously. You're trying to get rid of people that don't identify with you as much as you're trying to get people in that do identify with you. Because then you've got this core set of followers, fans, whatever you want to call them, customers, friends. It doesn't matter what you want to call these people that agree with your philosophies. And it's much more fun to deal with people that agree with your philosophy. But B, it's also a lot easier to monetize people that agree with your philosophy. It's a better business if you're trying to sell someone something that they want than if they're trying to sell them something they don't want. So the first thing that Sarah needs to do is sit down and go through that exercise. Work out what we used to call her true why, which is your motivating thing. Why are you doing it? And then work out what value she's adding, what her single purpose is, and what is the authentic story that's going to tie it all together and bring people in. So work this out. Once you've done that, I would then personally suggest, and we're going to launch a course on this, and I'm going to put it in this recording for anybody that's live on Zoom. I'm going to type in, which we're not going to share onto Facebook. I'm going to type in here a discount code. Right, so for our VIPs, I've just put a 20% discount code for the first course we're going to launch in the next couple of weeks. So and that's on top of whatever other discounts we put in place. When we get crazy, that will apply on top. So we're going to put a course together, Jess, and that's going to be based, as we've spoken about, to be an 8-week process and basically the more detailed version of what we're doing here in like 45 minutes of how we do these things. So I would use something called Squarespace or Wix. My personal preference is Squarespace, so that's literally the word square and then space.com, where there's about a dozen different templates. It really doesn't matter. Choose the one that you feel is more congruent with you. Then upload your images and upload that text that we've just said, the why me text, onto that one single landing page. And you're live. And then you just hit go. You go to godaddy.com and buy a domain name. Squarespace will do that for you as well. Find the most descriptive domain name you can. Avoid, do something called the radio test when you buy a domain name, which I'll cover in more detail in the course, which is if you were to say the domain name on the radio, would the people that heard it be able to understand it? So heard this the other day, for example, someone launched businesssurvivalkit.com. And there's 3 S's, business, survival. So you end up with 3 S's in the middle. Right? It's not going to work. People will mistype it. So that's the kind of thing you need to avoid. Words like there, T-H-E-I-R versus T-H-E-R-E, you should avoid. Preferably avoid numbers. So something like, what did I see? There was one in the UK called 12 Foot Academy. And they used to say on the radio, go to 12footacademy.com now. Now, is that 12ftacademy.com? Is that 12foot academy.com? Is that TWELVEFT. Like, there's about 7 or 8 different ways you can put that together in your brain. So either you've got to go and buy all the iterations, or you can get it wrong. So it's a good example that you should bear that in mind. That domain name now is super important because it just ties everything together. You don't want people not being able to email you because they can't work out your domain name. Right? It's just, you don't want to put barriers in the way of people giving you money. It's a pretty bad idea to running a business to put a barrier in between you and your customer. And I was about to say stupid. I'm going to go for overly creative domain name is a bad idea. Okay, so find the domain name. I would go on something like squarespace.com. You can literally just choose a template and just fill in the blanks and hit publish. If you don't want to do that, and you just don't want to get in the technicals at all, that's perfectly fine. You can go to fiverr.com, where there's literally a market of about 90,000 people that you can just literally pick up and say, please do this for me. And we've put that link in Zoom as well. Or the other common one is called upwork.com. Now, they are both remote hires. I would suggest there's a couple of tweaks to using the kind of remote marketplaces that people often don't understand, and it gets them in trouble. And Jess, if you could put this in the notes for me as we go through. One, do not use something like Upwork or Fiverr because it's cheap. Avoid the cheap, right? If you pay $2 for something, it doesn't matter if that's being sent to a different country or in your own country, you're still only paying $2. You're only going to get $2 worth of value. Now, the person that on the other end of the equation might be technically very, very talented. They might be the best designer in the world or the best HTML person. But the $2 comes because they don't necessarily have the command of the English language that you do. They don't know how to work without supervision. And the reason that I know this to be true is A, I've done this and failed 100 times because I forget myself. But B, if they did have a great command of the English language, if they were able to work without supervision, if they could see artistic direction without being led, they'd be charging you $50 per hour, not $2 per hour. Right? It's just it's a marketplace, right? So it's an efficiency. Just like I said earlier, technology removes inefficiency. So if somebody is charging $2 an hour, guess what? They're only worth $2 an hour. And if your business is worth more than $2 an hour, spend a bit more. So that's my first piece of advice. Don't see these remote marketplaces as ways to do things quickly or to do them cheaply. See them as the ability to do things quickly and at scale. That's where their true genius is. You don't need to hire a designer. You don't need to go through a 6-week process and CVs and interviews and back and forth and booking meeting rooms. I don't know the number, but I can imagine that the average hiring process in the United States of America costs tens of thousands of dollars. At any substantial level, if you want to hire a writer, hire a designer, it's going to cost you thousands of dollars. Just the process, not the hire, just the process. Time lost, time booked, etc. So that's what these marketplaces are so good at. You literally go, I need a designer. You go onto Upwork, you go onto Fiverr, and you get 50 proposals in about 8 hours, give or take. Fiverr is a different market. Fiverr is they push and promote their services and you select them. Whereas Upwork, you say, I want this service and people will bid. But yeah, on Upwork, the most I've ever seen, about 3-4 years ago, it was for a search engine optimization person. And we got 250 proposals overnight. So we went from, we have no resource to we have 250 opportunities within 24 hours, which is a bit daunting, by the way. So that being said, you can scale up quickly. So that's number one.
I have a question in regards to that. Liz is actually on Facebook. Hi, Liz. And said, you should do a class on managing truly remote resources. It's such a skill to be effective. And is that something that you will include in your online course?
Yes, let's do it. Yeah, that's a great idea.
Awesome.
We've got the first 4 weeks mapped out. I think 4 to 6 weeks are mapped out. So we have a couple more modules that we're doing at the end. So yeah, let's do that. It's a great idea.
Awesome.
Okay, so where are we at with that? So we've said that we've now got 250 people applying for our job, which is great. The next step is to cut the list down. There's normally too many on the list. So depending on the platform you're using, just start removing outliers. So remove the 10% that are the cheapest, remove the 10% that are the most expensive. Right? And this is just an exercise of just getting the list down. You might actually end up losing someone that would have been really great to work with, but trust me, you can't look through 250 proposals. And by the time you've got to 50, you'll have got another 50, right? If it's just, it gets crazy. So you literally need to cut the list down. Remove anyone that isn't absolutely fluent in English or whatever language it is that you're going to converse in, because that's going to hamper you. It's not worth saving a single dollar, $10, it's not worth saving a single cent for working with someone that's going to be hard to work with. Right? Get rid of anyone that can't work on your time zone for the same reasons, because you'll end up, no matter how well you plan it, it's them saying, well, I can talk at this time. You're like, that's midnight. I can't do that. And I've made this mistake. Right? I ended up working 20 hours a day in one of my businesses because I had people in as far west as Vancouver, and I had people as far east as Vietnam. Right? And literally, you're literally just, your entire day is taken up with 5-minute questions where people are going, I can't carry on without an answer to that question. And you're like, but it's 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm trying to go to bed. Okay, I'll answer that. I answer that. I then look again, and now I've got another question. So I cheat. So limit people to your time zone. So you're just removing all these outliers. And when you get it down to a list of somewhere between 5 and 15 people. And then my advice would be to say that you're going to do one call or one recorded video, and you're going to answer any questions that are sent by this time on this day. So say you brief them on the project. This is what I want from you. I want you to build me a Squarespace website. Here is the document that I've drawn up with my true why, my identity. Here's my headshot. Here's my video, whatever it is that you can do. And I'll answer any questions you have on a video like this on 3 p.m. at Wednesday. The reason you're doing that is if 15 people are all going to ask you questions, a lot of them are going to have the same questions. You have a lot of duplication coming back from them. So if you imagine now that you're doing 15 calls, you do it the other way, which is you book a meeting with all 15 people. You're literally going to end up spending probably 20 hours. It's half a week answering individual questions. And half of the questions you're getting asked will be the same question you've already answered for somebody else. It's simply not worth it. So you take all the questions, you collate them. This is an important fact that some people rail against with me. But if you said send them to me by Wednesday at 3 p.m., anybody that sends them to you at 3:02 on a Wednesday, remove them from the list. Just straight away, literally zero tolerance at this point of the hiring process. Now you can think that's harsh, and it is, but you have 15 people that want to work with you. So ask yourself, do you want to work with the 14 that did it in time, did it the night before, spent some energy on it, or do you want to do it with the person that just scraped in at the end? I know the answer in advance. I want to work with the people that actually put the energy into it. Now you could also tell me, yeah, but Pete, that person had internet connection problems. I go, do you want to work with that person? You want to work with someone that's got problems with their internet? No. What good reason is there if you gave someone 72 hours notice to ask you questions? You're not saying, prepare me a 70-page proposal. You're saying, do you have any questions? Wednesday at 3. So it's a really simple test. You'll literally find, sadly, that out of the 15, you'll probably lose about 5 or 6 because they simply don't ask the questions at the right time. So answer the questions in one go on a video, send the video to everybody so that everybody's got the information that the other people have asked. So everybody is now leveled up, and then ask them for their proposals. At that point, looking at the price you're offered, you'll find 70% of the prices are homogenized in the middle, and then you'll find a couple that are really cheap and a couple that are really expensive. Again, I would literally just go, thank you very much, get rid of the cheap expensive, unless there is a superb reason why you should talk to them. I remember hiring a developer that was a third of the rate of everybody else because he was open and said, I'm new to this Upwork market and I know I need hours billed for my profile to look good. So I'm willing to reduce the rate on this one. Like, okay. And I've also worked with people that are ridiculously more expensive because when you talk to them, they say, yeah, I've done exactly your project. I've worked for your competition. I've done exactly this. It's worth, and then it's worth paying the difference because they've worked for you. They've worked for exactly the same thing. At that point, then you have a call. So you then have 4 half-hour, 45-minute calls with each person, and all you're looking to do there is judge personality and fit to your project. Are you going to enjoy working with them? You know, I do stupid stuff. I ask them to tell me a joke. I ask them to write me a story. I ask them to do anything I need to try and get their personality out of them. Because you just want to know if you're actually going to enjoy it. Because if you have to do a call at 10 o'clock at night because that person's on a different time zone, the worst thing is if you just don't actually like them. It's just a total pain. And it sounds silly, but you just want to work with people that you're actually going to have fun working with. And they exist all over the world, so you will find them if you just put that bit of effort in. The last piece of warning I will give you on using these online marketplaces is if you don't put the effort in, what you get out will be bad. It will literally be terrible. Right? They are food processors. If you put rotten fruit in a food processor, the smoothie will not taste good. If you put amazing fresh ingredients in, the outcome will probably taste awesome. Right? These online marketplaces are the same. So if somebody asks you a question, if somebody asks you what colors do you think we should use, this is the kind of answer that will get you in trouble. Blue and green. Right? It's going to go wrong. Because what that person thinks of as blue and green and what you think of as blue and green are vastly different. And they'll go and do 20 hours worth of work, either on a per hour basis or on a project basis. Either way, you've lost 20 hours and you look at the outcome and go, that's not what I wanted. So you have to say, a better example would be to say, blue and green, please see the following 3 examples from the internet that use color schemes that I find that would work. That's a better answer. The best answer, if you're technically savvy in this area, is to actually go and find the color codes, the references. You can find software that will grab a screenshot and literally allow you to kind of use a dropper to say what color is that pixel, that little bit, what color is that blue, what color is that green. You don't need to get to that level, but you do need to at least say cream and dark red, e.g. I like the branding on Mulberry. Right, so then the person can see it and they go, oh, you mean that dark red? Oh, okay, I get it. So the more effort you put into the briefing of an online remote resource, the better the outcome will be. The less you put the effort into the briefing, the worse the outcome will be. So you're not looking to hire remote resources as management, as creative, as leadership. You're looking to hire a remote resource as task execution. You're looking to leverage your time to doing your business and pushing them to do yours. So you have 2 choices to recap. You can go on something like Squarespace or Wix, get a template, fill it in. It will not look exactly as you want it to look, but it really doesn't matter. I guarantee you are too precious about your brand and the look and feel of your website. I cast iron guarantee that you are too precious about it. And I say this with love, but unless you have been trained in the Royal College of Art, or unless you spent 7 years as a designer, your brand or your colors or your values or how you think an image should be cropped is your personal lens. It is not the lens of everybody else. So it really doesn't matter whether it looks spot on or not. The messaging does matter. This is key. This cannot be wrong. But whether you do black and white images or color images, it's open to debate. So you can use Squarespace or Wix, but I find that people tend to get stuck on the design. They tend to have a resistance because they're looking at the design of it, not the content of it. And remember, the joy about the internet is once you've got it all finished, you can change the design, right? So just get through the exercise of building it, get it live. A website that sits on your shelf will earn you nothing forever. A website that's out in the world can earn you something, even if it's not exactly what you want it to be. But if you do want to go down the other route, you go down a remote management route, use something like Upwork, something like Fiverr, and you literally buy in the resources. You buy in a web designer and you buy in a web developer, and you're done. I mean, that's kind of it. You buy a web designer, web developer, provide them the content. About 5 days later, you'll have a website. That was a lot. Did that help?
That was super, super helpful. Thank you so much, Peter. And I love the details that you've given around having, hiring remote work. And I've experienced it myself. And when you said that we're too particular on how our website looks, I was like, yep, I've spent hours and hours with colors and making it pretty.
And I've done the same as well. That's why everybody gets that hang up, right? Because you care about it, you love it, which is great. But it's so detrimental. Not being live is binary. How good it looks is variable, right? So I would much rather somebody be live with a white page with black text, with a generic gray button, than I would them not be live with the most amazing website in the world sitting on their own computer that no one can see.
Yes, 100%. And so I see that it's been so incredible, Peter, and I wish we could go on for hours because you have so much value. And thank goodness, I'm so excited that you're doing this course online where you're going to be giving all your tips and tricks on how to put your business online. So one of my questions, I hope you can answer on the online course that you're going to be doing is, all right, once we have the page, once we have the button, how do we monetize, right? How do we make it into businesses? There's so many different models out there that it can be a little overwhelming. So is that something you'll be sharing? I mean, we can't really go into detail now, but is that something that you'll be going into?
Yeah, you have and that's a really good question, Jess, thank you. So the first distinction is, what are you selling? Are you selling a product or a service? And that's kind of where everything starts from. The second question then, and we can go through this in a bit more detail in the course, there is something on it, is how quickly can you scale the thing you're doing, right? Because that's going to link back to how much you need to charge for what you're doing. So if it's a service that's a replicable service, so it's an online service, for example, it's like what's called an evergreen webinar or content that lives out there, then you can sell 100,000 of them as quickly as you can sell 10 of them, which means that your pricing can be quite creative. But if it's a service that you deliver face-to-face or virtually, or it's like an hour of your time, then obviously you only have a set amount of time that you can do in the day. That actually just reminds me of something I want to tell literally everybody, because nobody does this and it kills them every time. This is like a last-minute hack for everybody. If you're in the business of selling your time for money, do not work out how much your charge should be by dividing the 40-hour working week by how much you want to earn. Okay, so what I mean by that is if somebody says, I want to earn $4,000 a month, let's make it easier, $1,000 a week. The first instinct is to divide the $1,000 by the 40 working hours in a week, although that's kind of all over the shop right now. And you reach the point where you say, therefore, I'm going to charge people $25 an hour. Right? This is ridiculous and heinous and wrong and terrible. And the reason it's wrong and heinous and terrible is you have accounted for 0 hours of marketing, 0 hours of sales, 0 hours of accounting, 0 hours of administration, 0 hours of self-improvement where you're actually bettering the service that you're offering. You've literally said that every hour you offer is in the delivery of your service. And if you go and look at some of the public books of a company like Microsoft or Slack or General Electric, you will find that literally about 20% of their time is actually spent in delivering their product. It's all the other stuff that takes the time. So an easy rule of thumb is to put it in thirds, and that's still quite aggressive. So instead of saying I have 40 working hours that I can deliver my product, you say I have 15 hours I can deliver my product. I have 15 hours that I need to improve my business, my contacts, my outreach. And I have 15 hours, I know this adds up slightly differently, but just my mental math wasn't quite there. And I have 15 hours I need to spend on my admin, my taxes, my filing, and all that stuff. So we now get to the stage where for the $1,000 a month, we can only deliver 15 hours of service. So we're now talking potentially, 1,000 divided by 15, 1,000 divided by 10 would be 100, 1,000 divided by 20 would be 50. So it's $75 an hour. So we've just gone from 25, of course we have, because we divided by 3. We've gone from $25 an hour to $75 an hour. And I learned this lesson early on in one of my businesses when I went to, and I was like in my 20s, so I apologize to myself of then. I went to my accountant and he said, you would have earned more money working at McDonald's last year flipping burgers. And I'm like, what? No, I've done all this. It's great. No, I've built this, I've built that. He's like, yeah. And you've worked hundreds of hours to do that. You'd have earned more by the hour because you're underpricing yourself so far to go and get the business. I'm like, yeah, but he's like, make it more compelling, make yourself more attractive as an offering instead of undercutting yourself constantly. So yeah, so anyone that's in the per hour game, and I brought that up at the end just because I think that's a huge modality that's playing out now, where people are teaching a yoga course, they're teaching Pilates, they're doing some mindfulness, they're doing relationship coaching, they're doing business coaching, all these coaches that we're all saying we can coach you. And I'm not disparaging you, because if I do, I'm disparaging me. But just bear in mind, you don't have 40 hours a week. And with all this going on in the world, you probably don't even have 15. It's probably 10. You probably only have 10 hours of execution mode in you. The other hours are all around the other stuff you have to do, including your kids coming in and dogs and whatever it might be. So just bear that in mind, because it'll be quite useful. Yeah, I think that was pretty insanely good. I hope people got value from it. I hope you kept up. We did go really quick. One of the courses, Jess, one of the modules in the course is actually me building a website from no domain name, no hosting, no words, nothing, through to live in an hour.
Wow, that is amazing.
That one you have to listen hard, but
I'm sure we could. That's the good thing about online courses. You can always press pause.
Yeah, and it's that one's as much about education as it is dispelling some myths. I just want people to see, and yes, I'm a tech guy, so yeah, I'm going to find it easier than most. But my point is, if I can do it in a day, there's no doubt you can do it. If I can do it in an hour, there's no doubt you can do it in a day. Right? If you want to be online, literally, you can sit down, turn everything off, shut the door. Within a day, you can get it done.
I love that, and I love how Victoria just shared a comment on Facebook. She goes, "Boom." Boom.
Everything we should do, we should aim to have a mic drop moment, right?
I love that. I love that. And I see the time is running by. So just before, I'll give you the last word to wrap up, but I want to remind everybody tuning in 10 minutes, we have our angel support calls. Head on over to www.hackmankind.com if you haven't done already, and you have access to our VIP only members call, which is the support call every day at noon Eastern time. So head on over there, and I can't wait to hear. This is a call where you can ask for support, share your frustration, or just sit, have a coffee, or have lunch if it's around noon your time, and listen in, participate or not, and you will see it always, every time I show up, my energy shifts. I learn a new hack. I go far above and beyond that I could ever think of. So it's always a great gift to yourself. Head on over there. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, Peter, for being here and sharing on these wonderful hacks. I cannot wait for the online course. And just as a reminder, please save, if you are on the Zoom call, Peter has given us, I'm going to repost the promo code right here on the Zoom call. This will give you 20% off of the next program that Peter is doing on online having your business online. So just to wrap it up, Peter, take it away.
Thanks, Jess. I want to say, as I said yesterday, I want to say thanks to Syra, because that's why we're doing this. We're doing that to help all of the Syras out there in our own individual way, whether it's myself in the business, Ed in health, Michael spiking on conflict negotiation and legality, Karen in childhood and education, who's Friday, Sean Kelly on mindset and motivation, Dr. Clint G. Rogers on spirituality, and yourself on the relationship side. That's why we're here. And that's why these group support calls, and that's why the Facebook, and that's why the Zoom calls are also important, because we want to give you a conduit to ask us your questions. That's why I woke up today. I woke up today to stand here right now and serve you with things that can help you right now. Call it ego if you want, I don't care. But I want to make sure that people that aren't going to be in trouble in the next 30, 60, 90 days. And a lot of people are going to have to set up their own business. It's inevitable, whether that's cleaning windows or washing cars or doing a Reiki course, whatever that is, that's what's going to happen now. So we're here to help you with that. But if it's not the business you need the help with, that's why we have 7 experts here. So that's why we had a relationship call with Jess yesterday, because we know that your relationships are getting harder. And that pains us. But we also know that there's some really easy, simple things that you can do to make it better. And that applies across the whole week. So please join in. Please share this, as Jess said, www.hackmankind.com. We've got some really cool stuff on the way as well. And we want to share it with you. Simple as that. Thank you very much, Jess.
Thank you so much, Peter. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. And we'll see you real soon on our support calls. Take care.
See you soon.